My name is Ken Johnson, and like many of you, I spent most of my childhood with a bowl of cereal in my hands, watching Saturday morning cartoons. Though looking back, it's easy to forget how much the quality varied from show to show. Some shows were instant classics, while others were weird and obscure gems of their time. And others can only be described as, "What the f*** did I just see?" But discovering which one of those three categories a particular show is, isn't that half the fun? Or at least, that's the fun we're going to have today. Buckle in, ladies and gentlemen. This is Saturday Morning Fever.
From now on, like your parents were, you are the secret force of hope.
They're moving real fast, they're the only one who can get there on time. They're never too far behind, they're always fighting crime. Undercover or facing adventure in the danger zone. Pretty soon they'll be off on a mission. Come and watch them go. Sun doesn't shine. What's the highest and show? Sun doesn't shine. Only that on the road. Sun doesn't shine. To sit back and watch them go.
Keeping in line with the theme of Independence Day, I thought we'd make July Video Game Show Month here on Saturday Morning Fever. Because what could be more American than a bunch of TV shows based off of Japanese video games? Shows that were also likely made in Canada. I did not think this through. Now, as you would imagine for a show like this, we took our main theme song from where else? A Saturday morning cartoon show. Now, you may be thinking, yes, but I've never heard this Saturday morning cartoon show theme before. Probably because you've never seen the show before. Because I don't think anybody's seen this show before. So the show we're talking about today is the one of our theme song, Pole Position. You heard me correctly, Pole Position. Released by Namco in 1982, Pole Position was a primitive racing sim released in arcades in both North America and in Japan. The game contained no notable characters, no storyline of any description, and no particular world building of any kind. Now you may be wondering to yourself, Ken, how do you make a 13-episode animated television show when you have no story, no world building, and no plot whatsoever? Well, this is how.
From now on, like your parents were, you are the secret force of pole position.
They're moving real fast, they're the only ones who can get there on time.
Okay, sis.
And never too far behind, they're always fighting crime.
Stop time, Dad. Ready when you are, Rhodey.
In the danger zone.
Too much 80s.
Now we have to give this show some credit, considering the game gave them absolutely no plot, storyline, characters, anything to go off of. The fact that this show comes up with any sort of a overlaying plot or anything of that regard at all is actually kind of impressive. The plot they give it is a complete and total ripoff, but it's a plot nonetheless. Because if you look at the show carefully, you start to realize this show borrows quite a bit from another popular show, Speed Racer. You know, Speed Racer. One of the first popular animes in the United States, even back in the 1960s. One of the original icons of Saturday morning cartoons. That Speed Racer? Ugh, man. I'm 25 years old. I am too young to be too old for this. Yeah, when you start looking closer, you can see a couple of similarities between Speed Racer and Pole Position that look a little bit suspicious. Between the way that they do the sidekick thing, the animals, the way that the racing aesthetic works with the smart cars. I mean, look at the first episodes of both of these shows. Literally, the pilot episode of Pole Position is an exact ripoff of the plot of the pilot episode of Speed Racer all the way back in the 1960s. Now that cannot be coincidence. Now, despite the comparisons to Speed Racer, the actual format of the show follows more of a Johnny Quest kind of vibe, as the idea of the word pole position is reassociated to be the name of a secret organization that is run by their family with a giant supercomputer to do James Bond type crap and save the planet. Really. The show follows the Darrett family, Tess and Dan, the respective drivers, Daisy, the always knowing but always required kid sidekick of the group, Dr. Zachary Darrett, who is the wheelchair-bound super genius of the group, and Kuma, which is Daisy's pet, and I am pulling this directly from the Wikipedia page. Kuma is a genetic creation and is a strange cross between a raccoon and a monkey. No, this is never explained. We also have our two cars of the show, which, because this is from the 1980s, they talk, and are punnily named Wheels and Roadie.
We better do something, Wheels.
Let's check our memory bank. I've got it. Look on user 6.
Wheels is voiced by Melvin Franklin, who is a member of the singing group The Temptations. Do with that information what you will. Now, most of the show itself, in both its story and in its execution, definitely fall on the generic side, but every so often you find something in there that surprises you. One of my favorite episodes they do is the second episode of the show, The Chicken Who Knew Too Much. The plot of this particular episode involves a chicken given to our group by an archaeologist, only to realize later that the chicken in question is part of a long line of chickens who have all been taught the secret code, and only they have the secret code in order to open up the secrets to an ancient Mayan treasure. Yeah, I'm not making any of this up.
I'm not gonna make it. Wanna make $5?
Sure, if it's legal.
The weird problem I have with the show in general, though, is I feel like the show is not good enough to recommend, or, to be fair, bad enough to recommend. But definitely, I think just for the curiosity factor, this show is definitely worth at least one watch. And if you're going to watch one episode, I definitely recommend The Chicken Who Knew Too Much. If nothing else, just to see the process of how this got transformed into this, I think is worth 22 minutes of your time. Well, that's all the show we have for this week, ladies and gentlemen. But hope that next week, when Saturday morning rolls around again, you'll be here tuning in to Saturday Morning Fever.
They're moving real fast, they're the only one